Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Briotix Health Spotlight, where we speak with providers, subject matter experts, and other key players in the field about the various aspects of worker wellness that are affecting you and your company today. Employees returning to work after an injury is an involved process. From employees to employers, clinicians, providers, and other outside factors, there are a myriad of moving parts. Understanding why a return to work program is needed and how it works can make the difference between losing an employee and keeping one in your workforce. Today, we're joined by Kelly Deeker, our program manager of functional testing at Briotix Health, to help us learn a little bit more about how return to work works and some upcoming software from Briotix Health, JobAble. Hey, Kelly, thank you so much for joining us today on the Briotix Health Spotlight. I'd love if you could tell us a little bit more about yourself and your history with return to work.
Sure. Yes, I'm an occupational therapist by training, and I've been working in the field of industrial rehab for the past 22 years, primarily focused on job analysis, functional capacity evaluation, post-offer employment testing, and ergonomics. I have gone on site and done probably over 1,000 job analyses in many different industries across the U.S. For about 7 years, I was a clinic director and actively treated injured workers in work hardening, work conditioning programs. I administered FCEs, and I went on site to employers and did some ergonomic assessments and provided ergonomic recommendations. For about the past 14 years, I've been managing a nationwide functional capacity evaluation program and assisting with the development and quality of our post-offer employment and fit for duty testing programs.
So obviously you have some pretty extensive background here. So when a client approaches Briotix Health about return to work, what are some of those main pain points that they're attempting to solve?
Sure, yeah. So employers want to know if the injured employee can come back to work safely. That's the primary question. Surrounding that is, are they strong enough? Do they have the endurance and stamina to complete a full work day every day, day in and day out? Will they be productive? Will they be able to maintain the required pace of the work like their coworkers or similar to their coworkers? If they can't go back to the previous job, then the employers look at, well, is there another job here within the company that they can do? Will they need accommodations? If they do, what will those be? What will they need? The JobAble software solution allows the employer the ability to not only access the job analysis report to get the details of the job and look at what the job requires, but the job classifier functionality within JobAble also assists employers with answering these questions, and it helps the employer decide if there is a need from the employee to be able to return back to work safely. Is that need a reasonable accommodation?
Yeah, so you definitely covered some of these points here about those, similarities between return to work and how job analysis kind of blend together. But could you go more specifically into that topic? How do those two processes come together to create that final product?
Right. So in order to be able to test someone to job demands or identify the mismatch between those job demands and the employee's abilities or restrictions, you have to know what the essential job functions are and the related demands are. So that's the foundation of a return to work program, is a good job analysis that identifies what those essential functions are and what those job demands are that the worker has to do. Once you know what the worker is required to do, so this is like lift, carry, push, pull, positions and postures they have to do at work, then you can compare their abilities or restrictions to those job demands and determine next steps.
So we've discussed what those pain points are that return to work's addressing and how it works together with job analysis. But what does a return to work look like from start to finish in the workplace? Is there a standard process that's followed, or is it highly customized to every employee that comes across?
While there are guidelines for return to work processes from an administrative perspective, a good return to work process is customized from the perspective of using the employee's own job and comparing the essential job functions to the employee's specific impairments or disabilities. Return to work begins with a release from a physician to work activity. This release can be for full or part-time work with or without restrictions. If the employee returns to full duty, non-restricted work, but is unable to meet the job demands or the productivity requirements, or if they return to work with restrictions from their physician, then further review and return to work testing may be needed. Return to work testing can include fitness for duty testing, functional capacity evaluations. These tests can identify a mismatch between the essential job functions and the job demands and the employee's abilities or limitations. Identifying that mismatch helps the employer maintain the safety of their employees, and it assists them to make return to work decisions. In those return to work decisions, it helps the employers determine if reasonable accommodations are needed or possible. So JobAble as a software solution assists employers throughout the return to work process. The return to work process starts with a good job analysis report. The job analysis report can be sent to the physician and the functional testing evaluator, typically an OT, a PT, an athletic trainer, so that the evaluator can test the employee against the essential job functions that are described in that report.
So in the return to work process, there are a lot of hands involved, from the providers themselves to the employers, potential outside folks as well. And now we're starting to see software solutions as well. With software solutions like JobAble available for use, what are the benefits of implementing these alongside a traditional return to work plan?
So software solutions like JobAble complement and assist the return to work process for employers for the reasons we've been talking about so far today. JobAble houses the job analysis reports for employers, and they include a tremendous amount of job information and data. The job analysis combined with the job classifier report functionality assists the physician to know and understand what the employee is going to be required to do on the job. It also assists the employer to understand those exact areas of mismatch between what the employee can do and what the job requires. This helps employers make return to work decisions and determine if they can make reasonable accommodations. So the JobAble software, in addition to that, the JobAble software platform also allows an employer to understand the entire spectrum of physical demands that the jobs require, enabling them both to appropriately place employees from the start, but also identify where engineering controls might be beneficial to reduce higher demands. So we've also seen employers look at these job demands and identify some of the higher demands and then engineer out those higher requirements so that across the board, the job is safer for everyone.
You're the expert on return to work and all those facets that are involved in that process. Is there anything else that you think is important to share or that you would like to share about the return to work process?
Yeah, we've talked about a lot today surrounding return to work. I think I always like to look back at the statistics and the data when looking at these processes and the importance of having good processes for return to work. And so I'll share a kind of a staggering statistic that I came across, with regard to return to work. So the Bureau of Labor Statistics is a very well-respected source of data, and according to them, there's only a 50% chance that an injured employee will return to work after a 6-month absence. So that just, I think, further highlights the importance of having a program in place that facilitates an employee's safe and supportive reentry will only increase the likelihood of the employee's return to work.
Well, Kelly, thank you so much for hopping on today, letting us know a little bit more about how return to work works and a little bit about JobAble as well. If you'd like to learn more about what Briotix Health does, you can find us at briotix.com. And Kelly, thank you so much for joining us on the Spotlight today.
Thank you.